Hello investors and future investors, welcome to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to show you leaps that I intend to buy. I'm going to give you my thought process that goes into the decision before I pick up any of the leaps. Now, if you guys are new to options trading or you guys are just trying to make that extra income using option strategies in order for you to supplement your 9 to 5, then you so happen to stumble onto the right video. Welcome to Investment Gains. Let's jump right into it. Welcome back, investors and future investors. My name is Tim, and on this channel, I show you how I use my portfolio in order to make consistent income. For today's video, I'm going to be going through leaps that I intend to purchase in the near future. I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step thought process of how I choose my strike prices and when I'm going to close out these leaps. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel or new to options trading that don't know what LEAPS options are, well, LEAPS options stands for Long-Term Equity Anticipation Securities. And the LEAPS is just an acronym for such a long name. Now, if you do have one contract, it's going to be known as a LEAPS option. Likewise, if you have two contracts, it's going to be known still as a LEAPS option. So let's go ahead and get into the first LEAPS. And that's going to be none other than Palantir, ticker PLTR. Okay, so here we are on Palantir Technologies, ticker PLTR. And now I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Palantir options. And to do that, you're going to go down to Trade Palantir options down to the bottom. What that does is that's going to go ahead and open up the option chain. Now, once again, for those of you that are new, the option chain is all this area down here. And what that does is that gives us enough information in order for us to make a very informed decision. Now, before we get into these option strategies, I always require two favors from my subscribers and my viewers. Favor number one, always make sure to do your own due diligence before investing. And favor number two, always make sure to have an exit strategy before entering any options trade. That being said, let's go ahead and pick up our first leaps option. Now for that, we're going to go ahead to buy. We're going to go ahead to call, and then we're going to go ahead and choose our strike date. Now, ideally, a leaps option represents a long call that's more than a year out. But for the purposes of this video, we just going to be going with the January 16th, which gives us 292 days to expiration. Let's go ahead and select that. Now, in order for you to maximize the efficiency of a leaps option, it's highly advisable that you go ahead and choose your strike prices below the current share price. And for that, we're going to go to the price of $80. As you can see here, the share price is $84. Now, you don't have to go below the share price. It just helps you in the long term. And it's going to become very interesting when I showcase the second leaps option that I'm going to purchase. So with the $80 strike price, I want you guys to pay attention to the break even here. The break even here is 104, or let's round it up to $105. Also, pay a very close attention to our delta, which is 0.68. Delta is one of those single most important aspects of purchasing a leaps. Now, because we're buying a leaps option, we're going to have to pay. The amount we're going to have to pay is going to be $25.20. Now, in case you don't know, each option contract is multiplied by 100 shares. So you simply multiply 25.2 by 100 shares, and that's going to give you $2,520. So this leaps option is going to cost you $2,520. So let's go ahead and I'm going to click into it. I'm going to give you guys a bit more information that I think is absolutely necessary. Now, before we go into that, I just want to come full circle to something. I do have LEAPS option in my portfolio, and LEAPS make up the majority of my portfolio. Make sure you know your own risk tolerance before entering these kind of options. Now, currently, I make money every single week with my LEAPS option. However, my entire portfolio is down 50%. So make sure you could stomach options trading before getting into it. Okay, so what I want to bring to your attention is the open interest right here. So the open interest right here tells us that 12,000 contracts are open. That means there's 12,000 investors that think the Palantir $80 call expiring January 16 is an ideal call in order for you to purchase. Now, let me show you the next one, which is 77.5, and let's show you the open interest, which is going to be only 950. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go above. I'm going to show you the open interest on that one as well, which is going to be the $85 strike. Almost 3,000. So, like I said, at the $80 strike price, the majority of people think this is the best contract to pick up. It's going to be expiring January 16, 2026. Okay, now you're able to pick up a LEAPS option on Palantir. Now, what are you going to go ahead and do with it? So let me show you. But before we do that, once again, I want you guys to pay close attention to the $104 right here, which is your break-even price, and also your 0.68 here, which is going to be your delta. So now we have the LEAPS option in our portfolio. Now we're going to go ahead and make consistent income that's going to allow you to grow your portfolio. Now, before we do that, why would anyone want to pick up a LEAPS option? Well, that's quite simple. If you were to buy 100 shares of Palantir right now, it would literally cost you around $8,500, which is going to be the share price, 84.58 multiplied by 100 shares. By utilizing the LEAPS option, you're now able to get control of 100 shares of that stock at way less money. So that is why someone is going to use a LEAPS option. A LEAPS option are perfect if you're trying to grow a small portfolio very quickly. So now we have the LEAPS option in our portfolio. Here's how we're going to go ahead and use it to make consistent income. So let's go ahead now to sell and call. And now we're going to go ahead and choose a strike date. The strike date this time is going to be way closer. And I'm going to be going with April 11th, which gives me about 12 days to expiration. Let's go ahead and select that. Now we need to go ahead and sell covered calls above our break even. Remember, our break even was around $104, and $104 strike price can only be found above the current share price. So let's go ahead to the $104. So right here, we're going to go ahead with the 105, which is perfect. Now, with the $105 strike price here, we have a chance of profitability of 94.45. Chance of profitability, you can see to the top here, which is an extremely high chance of profitability. Now, because we have a high chance of profitability, which means there's a very high chance that this trade gonna go in our favor, the opposite of that is that we have a very small chance that this trade goes against us. And that small chance is gonna be around 5%. But I have to mention it because it can go the opposite way. Now, once we get the 105 strike price, which is above our break-even price, and it gives us a high chance of winning this trade, because we're going to be selling calls now we're going to be receiving some kind of money. Remember, the first option strategy to get into the LEAPS option, we had to pay. Now we're going to be receiving money, and that's going to be 0.35. That 0.35 is going to work out to be $35. Once again, each option contract is multiplied by 100 shares. Now, with the $35 premium you're going to be receiving, that's going to give you a more than a 1% income on a regular basis. In this case, it's going to be around 2 weeks. Now, feel free to go with expiration dates that suit your fancy. For Palantir, because this stock volatility is so high, I like to go just 2 weeks out. Feel free to go a month out if that makes you feel better. So that is my thought process when going ahead and buy a LEAPS option. I only get into LEAPS option if there's a way I could make some decent premium while I wait for the share price to increase. Now, the whole point of the LEAPS option, let's say that we did purchase it when the share price was around $84. Now, the share price has gone to 105 and above. Come, let's say April 11th. Now, call me blind if you will, but I don't see Palantir moving from $84 to 105 in about 2 weeks. So let's say if that does happen, then this is the whole purpose why you got into LEAPS in the first place. So how are you going to benefit from this? In addition to this $35 you make in a 2-week time period, now you're going to make what's going to be known as stock appreciation or investment gains. Your investment gains is going to be your difference between your 105 minus your 84, which should be around $21. Once again, always remember, when dealing with option contracts, we're dealing with multiples of 100. So we multiply that 21 by 100 shares, and your gross gains is going to be $2,100. It does not end there. So I did ask you to remember the delta. Your delta was around 0.68, I believe. So what you do now, you multiply your $2,100 by 68%, which is your delta, and your gains should be around $1,400. And that is the power of LEAPS option. You go ahead now, you divide your $1,400 by the amount of money you paid to acquire the LEAPS, which I believe was $2,500. Now you have a gain of more than 50% in about 2 weeks. That is how LEAPS option could help you magnify your accounts. Now, for those of you that made it to this part of the video, now I'm going to show you how to manage LEAPS option, because this next LEAPS option that I want to get into takes a lot more management than Palantir. And for that, we're going to go into Nvidia, ticker NVDA. Okay, so here we are on everyone's favorite stock, which is going to be Nvidia. And once again, let's go ahead to open up the option chain by going to trade Nvidia options. Now, before I go ahead into Nvidia, one of the most important criteria for you to choose LEAPS option, always make sure you choose LEAPS option on a good stock, a stock that you believe, honestly, after you doing your own due diligence, that the stock is going to appreciate in value over time. Also, make sure you choose a stock that's going to appreciate in value over time, not just stay still. A stock that just trades still is not going to help you with your LEAPS option. Good. Now that we have Nvidia open, now that we have buy, we have call, now we're going to go and choose our strike date. Once again, we're going to be using the exact same strike date, which was January 16th, 2026. Let's go ahead. We choose that. And now we're going to go ahead and choose our strike price. Now, I did tell you to pay attention to this one, because this one is a bit more interesting. The strike price we're going to be going with is going to be $110 strike price. As you can see here, the $110 strike price is now above the share price. So sometimes I would choose the strike price above the share price, but only in some serious conditions. Now, your break even right here now is now $130. Now, with the $110 strike price on Nvidia, with a $130 break-even price, we have a delta of 0.61. Once again, remember these two figures. We're going to come back to it momentarily. Now, once again, you have to pay. The amount you're going to have to pay is going to be $20.80, or in the real world, that's going to work out to be $2,080. Remember, you multiply the 20.8 multiplied by 100 shares. Now, let's go ahead and open up that strike price. I'm going to show you the open interest once again. Now, as you can see here, the open interest on this is almost $12,000, which is similar to our first stock, which is Palantir. So once again, there's about 12,000 people or investors that think Nvidia $110 call expiring January 16th is one of the best that you can pick up. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the next one down, which is 109. Let's go ahead and see the open interest, which is only around 1,100 people. Let's go ahead. We're going to check out the one right above it. Let's see what the open interest is on that one. And the open interest here is around $38. So that is why I would pick up the 110, because the majority of people think that is the best one for the expiration date at the current price. Now that you pick up this Nvidia LEAPS option, now I'm going to use it once again in order for me to make consistent income while I wait for this share price to increase in order for me to close off this LEAPS option and lock in my investment gains. So let's go ahead to sell and call. And now we're going to go ahead and choose our strike date once again. And Nvidia is one of those stocks that move very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead with the April 11th strike date once again, which gives us 12 days to expiration. Now, we're going to go ahead and look for our strike price, which was our break-even price of $130. Hopefully you guys remember that. Now, very important, pay attention right here. At the $130 strike price, we have a high chance of profitability, which is around 97%. And the money we're going to be receiving is going to be 0.14 or $14. Now, for my own personal risk tolerance, I don't think this is enough. This is going to be less than 1%. So I'm not going to choose that. So in this case, I'm going to be going below my break-even price in order for me to get a better income. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go down now to the 125 strike price. Now, with the $125 strike price, what that did is that it lowered my chance of profitability, but my current chance of profitability, I still think is pretty high, which is 94%. Now, I'm about $5 below my break even. So while I have this trade open, I'm now going to have to manage it. So 125 strike price, 94% chance of profitability. The income I'm going to be receiving is going to be 0.32, which is almost similar to our first stock, which is Palantir. And this is going to give you a higher return, a little higher than 1%. So that I can definitely live with. Now, what do we do? Now we're going to go ahead and monitor this trade, make sure that this share price here does not hit our 126 price. Now, if it does come even close, always wait until you're very close to the expiration date, because once again, this is Nvidia. The share price skyrockets and it just drops back down to the ground. So always make sure you go closest to expiration date so you don't lose a lot of your premium. Now, as the expiration date comes closer, if this strike price is tested, all you need to do is go ahead and roll it out and up. I'm not going to get into that. I do have a lot of videos about how to roll these options. So this is a brief example of how you're going to roll this option. When it's time to roll this option, if your 126 price gets tested, all you're going to do, you're going to come, you're going to go ahead and look for this strike price. You're going to buy back your option. Remember, this here is a sell call. So you're going to firstly buy back your option. You're going to go here, you're going to change your expiration date further out as necessary for you to receive additional credit. And then you're going to sell another call. So that is how you're going to roll this. Rolling simply means that you're going to be closing out your current contract while simultaneously opening a new contract at a different expiration date and most of the time at a different expiration price. So that is how you manage this if anything happens. Now, once again, if the price here is tested, the difference between your 126 and your 109 should give you around $16. Again, that's going to be $1,600 because you're going to multiply your $16 by 100 shares. So you're still going to stand to gain even if your strike price gets tested. You're going to take your $1,600, you're going to multiply by whatever your delta was, and that's going to be your net income. If come expiration date, this strike price is not tested, then you have another opportunity here to go ahead and keep selling covered calls at any strike price you always try to go as close to your break even price or even higher. So if the share price increases the next time you're ready to sell covered calls, then you'll be able now to choose a higher strike price, which is going to go even closer to your break even price. And that is how you manage this trade. So, in summary, the LEAPS option I intend to buy is going to be on Palantir and also going to be Nvidia. I'm not going to pick up these LEAPS option right now. I'm going to be waiting until I see clear signs that this stock is about to go back up. Then and only then am I going to go ahead and purchase these LEAPS option. Once I get these LEAPS option in my portfolio, then I'm going to go ahead and sell consistent covered calls and very high chance of profitability in order for me to make consistent income while I wait for the share price to appreciate. Whenever the share price appreciates to something that I like, most of the time, anytime I have a gain on my LEAPS of 50% and higher, I consider closing them out because I like nothing better than to lock in my investment gains. Now, if you guys have any questions concerning the LEAPS option strategy or how to use your LEAPS option strategy in order for you to make consistent income, then go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Also, are you guys using any of these stocks in order to buy LEAPS or are you guys just going to buy regular stocks? Let me know in the comments below. Go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, if there's anyone out there struggling to grow a small account portfolio, then go ahead and share the video with them. Let's try to help as many as we can. Remember to hit your notification bell to get an alert when I post a video. And until the next video, keep pushing your investments.